All right, welcome to the program, The Desk on Global Television. And it's the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Thursday made his first cabinet appointment following his decisive election win, signaling his intent to overturn the outgoing administration's policies by reaching out to Vladimir Putin. Trump's campaign manager, Susie Wiles, will serve as he's a White House chief of staff, becoming the first woman in this high-profile role and marking the Republicans' first appointment to his incoming administration. That's how I make you welcome to today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu, welcoming to today's edition that promises to be very interesting as we look at issues from the global perspective and also trickle down to national and subnational levels with very interesting talking points. First of all, we'll go to the US, where that's the biggest story around the world, especially with the election of the 47th president of the United States of America already. The president of Ukraine, talking about Volodymyr Zelensky, has warned that calling for truce or peace could be a very dangerous one. And we also have the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, earlier joined other world leaders to congratulate Trump, who had been criticized by Harris, and also the Chinese hoping that it's going to be a good outing for them and the Americans. From there, we'll be moving to the fact that within the Democrats, it's been a lot of game blaming, and we've got the Democrats are facing a painful reckoning over Kamala Harris's drubbing at the hands of Donald Trump, where they're blaming each other who caused the defeat. And the consensus is that the cause of this defeat is no other person but Joe Biden, the current president of the United States of America, and the strategy they employed during this campaign process. So we'll be looking at all these issues, what it means for the Democrats, and if there's a way back for them after the first 4 years of Donald Trump. All right, from there we'll be looking at other issues, as we've got a former CIA director and U.S. Defense Secretary, talking about Leon Panetta, has predicted that when Donald Trump is sworn in, Israeli Prime Minister would have a blank check. You know what that means? It means what Israel is doing now, like we say in Nigeria, it's a child's play. Probably the Middle East is yet to get more of what Israel can offer Israel and the U.S. So we'll be looking at what this comment by the CIA director is saying. We also have a controversial lawyer right here in Nigeria, talking about Senator Shehu Sani, who has thrown a veiled shade against the newly elected UK Conservative Party leader, Kemi Badenoch, for making snide comments about Nigeria. So, he said the Nigerian singing the colonial song in the UK Parliament will not change his or her true identity. So it means that she's still Nigerian. That's why being in the UK, and also elected as the Conservative Party leader. So we'll be looking at what Shehu Sani said. Is it the right way to go, or is he just trying to play the devil's advocate? So we'll be looking at that issue very closely. We also have the issue of a digital economy and e-governance, where the federal government met with stakeholders in Lagos on Thursday to discuss the proposed digital economy and e-governance bill, a part of the series of consultations. We're looking at what this means. Is that what Nigerians need at this time when we're facing harsh economic and security challenges in the country? We'll also be looking at the EFCC, where the Edo State governor, outgoing governor, Godwin Obaseki, has stated that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is planning to arrest him after his tenure ends on November 14. And so we'll be looking at what this means. Is this crime foul before the D-Day? If your hands are clean, you shouldn't be scared of the EFCC. So we'll be looking at that from very close quarters, what the implication of this would be. Is it already witch hunting by the Senator Monday Okpeholo, who polled 291,667 votes, defeating his closest rival, Asu Ighodalo of the People's Democratic Party, who also did score 247,274 votes. So these are the issues we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program. the desk. We have other stories also we'll be looking at. And my guest on today's edition is no other person but Dr. Aisha Shaibu. She is a public affairs analyst and also got some security experts in between the lines. So she will help us look at all this big story on today's edition of the program, The Desk. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, we're going to be pressing the discuss button. Yes. Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Desk on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Desk. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Desk.
All right, welcome back from the break. It's time for us to hit that discuss button as we look at issues from the global perspective. And I told you my guest is already seated in the live studios. Her name is Dr. Aisha Shaibu, who is a public affairs analyst, to help us look at these issues. And hopefully we'll be also getting the publisher of Indigo newspapers, Ogbefi Chibuzo Onyad. Hopefully we'll be joining us in the course of the program. All right, good evening and thank you for joining me on the desk.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's look at the U.S. president, talking about Donald Trump, president-elect, who has already immediately, I remember the last time you came, you did predict that Donald Trump was going to win the elections, and it has come to pass. Well, let's look at already he has made his first appointment. Susie Wiles, who was his campaign manager, he has already appointed her as the chief of staff for his administration, the first woman to hold such a very high profile position. Would you say it's more of a reward for hard work, or the fact that she believed in him despite all the assassination attempt, the legal issues he had, and saw him to victory?
Well, thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers. Like we discussed here some time ago, I made a statement that if there's anything we give Trump is the fact that he is a game player. I stated then that the American people are not ready to welcome a female president yet. So to diffuse that assertion, he will have to appoint a female to man that position. So
it's a strategic one, because this is the first woman.
Give it to her. Give it to him. He is a game player. He is a game changer. He knows what he is doing. So in the history of America, like you have said, this is the first time a woman will be holding such a strategic position.
Sure, yeah.
So that is to show you that, to a very large extent, the insinuation that America is not ready to welcome a female leader is not the intention of the Republican.
Okay.
It is a political strategy. It is a move that will gain our support for his government.
Okay, let's also look at already we know that he has already said he is willing. The comment shows, like analysts have said, this shows that he's willing to change the narrative, the policies of Joe Biden, and he's willing to even speak to Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and the Russian president has already had congratulated him, saying he was courageous and he was willing to speak with Donald Trump. What does this tell us in terms of what we should be expecting between the relationship between Russia and America, and also the war across the world? Because that was one of the things Trump promised, to end wars. And we know that Russia, do you think he will be able to convince Trump, that's Putin now, to end the war in Ukraine?
Over time, Donald Trump has always hailed the person of Putin, for his doggedness, for his braveness, for being able to face the government of Biden despite all the pressures. So it is an indication that there's going to be a collaborative alliance between Putin and Donald Trump when he eventually takes over. Now, one of the cardinal points, the selling points of Trump's campaign has always been the fact that America first.
Okay.
Implying that he is not ready to use the resources of America to fight external war that has little or nothing to do with America. He is not ready to send the personnel out to fight, suffer for what they do not bargain for. So it is going to be a truce. There should be an understanding between the government of Trump and that of Putin. In his speech, his speech a few days ago, he said he is going to talk to Putin. He is going to speak with him, if I quote him. He is going to speak with Putin. That is to say, he has plans in place. And Putin has already sent his congratulatory message showing his readiness to equally have a conversation with Trump. You know, and when we talk about the idea of broken peace among conflicting nations, I think Donald Trump has a way of doing that. He did it in his first term, and he's going to do it again. And if you might notice, all the campaign policies of Trump has been the same. What he used to get support in his last campaign are the same strategy, the same promises he has made to win this particular election. So I give it to him once again, because he tells you what he wants to do and he follows it to the latter. He doesn't default in his political promises. He makes sure he press it down. He makes sure he fulfills it. And I think that is one of the things that gives the Americans the confidence to actually vote for him, despite all the controversies that surrounds him as a person.
Okay, let's look at, in terms of, we've seen different world leaders, the Chinese already congratulating him and saying they hope there's going to be peaceful relations between China and US. We know that during Donald Trump's era, there was really bitter rift between the Chinese and the Americans in terms of the trade imbalance. US constantly accused the Chinese of having an upper hand in the balance between both nations. Do you see that continuing this time around in terms of Israel and the Palestinian war? We saw Trump, take the consulates of Israel to Bethlehem in his first tenure. What are we likely to see?
Yeah. There are two questions. So I address the first, which is the Chinese
American trade imbalance
relationship.
Yes.
You see, this is purely political activities. Trump, in his first regime, had seen how nations reacted to some of his policies, has seen how beneficial or otherwise his relationship has been over time. So this time is going to be there's going to be some correctional moves from his part, because the interval between when he ruled and now that he's coming back, we are going to look at what has been the relationship between America and the Chinese government. All right. So if the relationship between America and China in these 4 years of Biden is not robust, is not cordial, then Trump would want to come and make a difference. They have their differences, which is interest. And you cannot remove interest from politics. Personal interest will always come first, except where you decide to bear the grunts of the outcome.
In terms of the wars, and finally, as we leave this talking point, in terms of the wars, one of his campaign promise was ending wars across the world. Do you think that would make him not support Israel further in terms of the continuous shelling and killing in Palestine?
There is a cordial relationship between the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu,
Benjamin Netanyahu, and Donald Trump
in his previous administration.
Yes.
And at the moment, they still maintain that cordiality. But notwithstanding, Trump made a statement some time ago that if he emerges as the next president of America, he is going to nip that crisis to the bud. So let us give him that benefit of the doubt and believe that, of course, he's going to do that. Because when Biden came in, he made his position known to the world. He took side with the Israelites. So, but there are diplomatic ways of doing that. There are ways you can ask the two parties to sheath their sword, and it will be done amicably, even when your alliance lies with one.
Okay.
All right. So we expect that diplomatic move will be displayed by Donald Trump when he eventually resumes office.
All right, we hope that will be the case as we look at other issues. But let's go to the next talking point. We're still talking business in the American sphere as we look at what's playing out at the Democrats. Yes, the Democrats are facing a painful reckoning over Kamala Harris dropping in at the hands of Donald Trump. Let's look at the Democrats. Do you think they are shocked? It's hard for them to believe what happened because they were cocksure they were going to beat Trump once Kamala Harris became the presidential candidate. And now that they're doing game blaming Joe Biden and also blaming the strategy they used. Do you think this shows that the party is in crisis and might find it really difficult to come back even after 4 years of Donald Trump?
Exactly. There is a disaffection among the members. Disaffection in the sense that for not floating Harris from the very beginning is an obvious fact that the House was not together. The idea of Biden dropping at the middle of the race shows that they were swinging not to the same direction.
Okay.
All right. Then again, the policies they had, which was not going well with the Americans, which was used against them, are policies they would have been able to streamline during Biden's administration if they were in one accord.
Okay.
All right. From every indication or from friends that lives in US, you could hear that some Democrats did not even go out to participate fully in this election as a result of that dissatisfaction they had. So there is an internal crisis that needed to be sorted out. Otherwise, they will continue to have this blame game, blaming Mr. A, blaming Mr. B. But what does
But do you agree that the problem was Joe Biden? And at what point? Do you think it was at the point after the first debate with Trump when Trump actually did floor him? Or would you say it was his health issues or his age?
Whichever. The electoral, democratic electoral body, they have a neck that would look into who is coming out to represent the party. The party is their image, and they are the image of the party. So whoever is coming should have a holistic background check by the NEC before accepting that person to to run the candidacy of the party. So whichever way, either health, either age, or whatever the issue is, there was certainly a fundamental issue from the very beginning that led to Biden sustaining his declaration for candidacy up to the first debate. Harris had all it takes to win, if we look at it from every perspective. But because of these internal issues.
And did you think the time also played a factor, the time frame?
The time frame, even if it does, it will be a very minute one.
Okay.
Because even during the debates between Harris and Trump, you could see that she beat Harris. Trump hands down. She told. To me, she was able to represent herself, showcase herself. All right. So, if given the enabling environment, of course, Harris would have done well. But because of the party issues that has consummated the entire process, there was no way. I foresaw it. I said it here.
All right, let's move on. Just to let you know that the former CIA Director and U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta has predicted that when Donald Trump is sworn in, Trump will give the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a blank check. So we'll be waiting to see if that is the case. All right, let's move on to the next talking point, which has to do with former lawmaker Senator Shehu Sani has thrown a veiled shade against the newly elected UK Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch for making snide comment about Nigeria. Sani said the Nigerian singing the colonial song in the UK Parliament will not change his or her true identity, no matter how much and how long an adopted child loves his new home and hates his ancestral home. There will come a day he or she will be reminded by his adopted home that he doesn't belong there. That's according to Shehu Sani there. He says if an African American are still reminded that they belong to Africa, a Nigerian singing the colonial song in the UK will not change his or her true identity. Meanwhile, let's just let you know that a reporter had said when Badenoch had defended British colonialism during a debate on the UK's response to the Black Lives Matter movement. She has also been criticized for making snide comment about the country. Also recently, the chairman and the CEO of the Nigerian Diaspora Commissioner, Abike Dabiri-Arewa, revealed that her office reached out to Badenoch but received no response. Abike Dabiri-Arewa, who spoke, stated that Nigeria would not compel the British politician to embrace her Nigerian route if she chose not to. Do you think why do you think this is making sense, or why is Nigeria getting agitated wanting to reach out to her? And do you think it was fair for her on her own part to say negative comments about Nigeria, regardless of the fact that she's has a British nationality too?
It is what it is. Nobody wants to be identified with failure. She's human, all right? So she could be rational, but the truth of the matter here is there are so many things back home here in Nigeria that could make a citizen of this country to say, oh, I'm not even from Nigeria. All right? I don't know what prompted her singing the colonial national anthem, but of course, Nigeria still remains her origin. That cannot be taken away, that cannot be washed away. But even at that, like we said about being diplomatic about certain things, I wouldn't know what made her
to do that.
To that extent, except when we hear her own part
side
of the
story,
and
right.
we're able to apportion blame. But yes, we are Nigerians. We are who we are, either good or bad. We are who we are. So let us look at it that maybe she's been agitated over certain things going on back home. Reason why she choose to do what she.
All right. So let's before we let you go, let's talk about this matter. Before we let you go, we'll go for a quick break here, but this will be after we get your comment on this. We're talking about the minority caucus of the House of Representatives demanding compensation for the detained minors who were recently released. Do you think something is wrong with that demand, knowing fully well that these same people were charged with terrorism, treason, arson? And on the flip side, because they were minors, Nigerians cried out, and now they are being, released. Do you think it's fair to now say the government of Nigeria should compensate these people? Wouldn't it be like rewarding bad behavior?
First of all, was it wrong to protest in the first place?
Okay, big question. Nice one.
Let's take it from the roots. Someone is being dissatisfied by the services of his own nation.
The wrong they did was the fact that they destroyed government property, carted away equipment, stole chairs and electronics, and those were what they were arrested for, not the protests per se.
Okay, if we look at that from that perspective, if they were caught in the act, then they should be able to face the music, because what we were made to understand at that point was we were going to have a peaceful protest and not a destructive
protest
one. So if what we had was a peaceful protest and they went ahead to destroy government property, then they should be liable.
Regardless of their age. They are minors now.
Government have policies
and
put in place to address certain issues. It is within the whims and caprices of government to apply that which fits the situation at hand. All right? You see, we have arbitrary ways of doing things as Nigerians, not following the rules. And that is why sometimes we begin to question ourselves. Who are we? Do we fall from another planet? Are we aliens? Why don't we do the right thing? Because if government agencies are on ground, then the House of Assembly the House of
Reps, yes,
will not question the same government. If things are not done right, then there should be questions. But when things are being done the right way, I don't think anybody in his or her right senses will come and start opposing.
All right, before we go, the question now is, do you support compensation for those minors?
Again, it brings us to the earlier discussion. Was the right thing done? Were they caught in the act? If they were not caught in the act, because sometimes when offenses are being committed, they arrest randomly.
Okay, that's another point of view.
If that is the case, then they should be compensated. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. If they were being arrested randomly, then they should be compensated. Being the fact that they are still minors, it is traumatizing. All right? So if they were caught in the act, then there should be evidence to show, to back that up, and the right thing should be done.
All right, I think that's how much she's going to speak with us. She has to run off to get other things done. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Aisha Shaibu, who is a public affairs analyst, and like I said, she's also a security expert joining us on the program The Desk and helping us look at issues from the global perspective and also coming down to the national level. We'll be going on a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be having another guest joining us. He is the publisher of Indigo newspapers right here in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nigeria, and will be joining us to lend his voice to the many talking points we'll be looking at after these breaks. Please stay with us. Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the
Can we
Palestinians,
not
we
say
are the
that again?
Canaan because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Welcome back from the break. It's still the desk on Global Television, and while we went on a quick break, we had a quick switch of guest list. We've got one of the fastest rising newspapers in Nigeria, and we've got the publisher here in the person of Ogbuefi Chibuzo Onya in the studio to help us look at issues making the rounds. Of course, we definitely go to the US and come back home looking at all the big talking points. I want to say thank you very much for joining us in the live studio.
My pleasure. Thank you, Nigerians. So sorry I came in a little bit late.
Dr. Aisha had done some bit of justice, but let's revisit some of the talking points quickly because of the want of time. Donald Trump finally makes his first, appointment, bringing in his campaign, the manager in the person of Susie Wiles as the chief of staff. First woman to occupy such a, and also he's now open to speaking to Vladimir Putin. What does this mean in terms of ending the wars across the world like he promised?
This is the sign of consistency. When one is consistent or is known to have a vision, it takes time for that person to derail. Trump has told everybody, Americans, the world over, that he is consistent, that he knows what he's going for, he knows what he's saying, he knows how to get to what he is looking for. You see why Americans, even when he was against every norm, political norm, he was against it. He was even against, to the extent people started seeing him as a racist. Yet Americans, his people, as were all solidly behind him. Why? He did not start today. He was not moved by maybe an inconsequential thing or emotionalism. No, he has that vision is there. He knows what he wants to achieve for America. He knows what is good for America, and that is what he is presenting for America. Let us take back our America. America will be great again. These are visions. When somebody is visionary, when somebody knows exactly what he's looking for, it takes him time to fail. You can't compare it to what we are. In fact, there's something we are discussing with somebody yesterday. I said, if you compare American electoral system and that of Nigeria, you will not believe that we should have somebody like the kind of INEC people we have today, that wants to drag us to Golgotha, that wants to drag us to one-party system, simply because they are being propelled by inconsequential people. So Trump has vision. He is consistent. He knows what he's going for. He is prepared to achieve those, to leave a legacy. Moreover, in what he's doing, he knows that too well that America has a system this that is totally outside individuals. The institutions are greater than individuals. And why won't he follow suit? So that is the difference between what's happened to Trump. Moreover, the woman he picked has been the woman that is behind his campaign successes. Just to tell you how the scripture, the Holy Book says, the visioner should run. The vision, those who will actually help you actualize the vision will always be there for you.
Okay, let's look at in terms of now his willingness to speak with Vladimir Putin. Do you see that as a sign that he means what he says when he says he's going to end the wars across the world? And do you think he can convince Putin to end the occupation of Ukraine?
Who loves war? Nobody. Anybody that lives in a market does not. Anybody that comes to a market doesn't throw stone to that market, because you don't know who will get the wound or sustain the wound. He knows exactly that war shouldn't have even been a thing. It shouldn't have started from should have been allowed to start from the onset. But because of weak-minded people, because of people who don't value people, they want to make money. And Trump has come and said, no, we cannot continue like this. We can't keep on wasting American life and American soldiers and American people this way. Let us end that war. And there's no way you talk to Putin. Putin will not succumb to his proposals, especially when the proposals are attuned to his programs, his vision. Simple.
Okay, let's move away from that. Still talking America, but the issue of Democrats blaming Joe Biden and the strategy they employed for this election that they lost. Do you think, what does that tell us about the Democrats, what they're going through internally?
They started from the onset in fact, they never prepared for this election. They were never prepared for the election. Let me tell you why. As of last year, Trump was busy getting himself ready, preparing to face it. These people were only interested in decimating Trump. They were not interested in the election. They were busy with one court case or the other against Trump, while Trump was prepared to face Americans and tell Americans what he's looking for, what America should be going for, how America should be better. But the Democrats were busy using, our people here, when you tune to CNN, you think that is whatever thing you hear from CNN is final. But it's not true. CNN has 7 channels. But we watch only one channel here. So if you look at the way the Democrats were pursuing this issue, you find that they will never, even when this man knew that age wasn't on his side, another one that he needed to pull out for somebody to come up on time, they were busy believing that one state or the other will jail Trump. Once he's convicted, they will have a smooth sail. It didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. Trump was busy getting himself prepared. Even when they organized a debate and said CNN should cover it, it should be CNN. Trump said he's coming, and when he went there, he disgraced the president, the incumbent. The incumbent couldn't even, he was wobbling. He couldn't even, defend himself. Trump said, well, you people have seen him, Sleeping Joe. He gave you a name, Sleeping Joe. So Trump, from the onset, prepared for this action. Meanwhile, the Democrats, instead of, even when they got Harris, Harris was prepared for the action. But for the fact that she came out late, she was unable.
So you think the time frame affected her chances?
No. The time frame. Let me tell you, Trump knew where he was going and was consistently following it. He never allowed maybe euphorism or side attraction to becloud his sense of vision. He followed his vision from the onset.
Well,
Meanwhile, Biden, if they had allowed Biden to come and campaign for, look at the first time he came to campaign for Harris, Harris denounced those things, pulled herself out from what he said.
Okay, let's move to the next talking point, the UK issue, Parliament talking about the Conservative leader who is a Nigerian. We've got a former lawmaker, Shehu Sani, criticizing Kemi Badenoch for saying some snide things about Nigeria. And Shehu Sani was saying, no matter how much you sing the English national anthem and all that, once you're a Nigerian, you've always been a Nigerian. And also did give a parable that an African child, no matter where you go, at a point, the adopted home, someday you'll be told you're not from there. Is Shehu Sani saying something instrumental? Or is just...
Exactly. I want to say this. Anybody that knows so much what the British government have done to Nigeria should follow the line of Sani. I was listening to the young man, the Secretary of State that came to Nigeria. Foreign Secretary, I think a Foreign Secretary that came to Nigeria. He says something about reparation. Could you remember that when Abiola was contesting presidential election in Nigeria,
1993,
he was constantly saying reparation. It never settled down with the British government, because anybody that knows what the atrocities of the British government in this country should know that Abiola meant what he was saying to the brim, and they never allowed him to get it.
Are you saying the British government
The problems we are having in Nigeria, including Boko Haram issue or whatever, if you remove France, remove Britain and China, Nigeria will be in peace. Yes, have you ever heard that they killed the Chinese or they attacked British government in any of the Boko Haram infested place?
So you're saying the Chinese,
100%
the British and the French?
Quod erat frustrandum. I'll tell you details. The details are there. Because of what we have, they don't want us to come up. That's why they don't want us to have a good leader that will come and say, let us think home. And if we think home, we'll come back to know that what we have here can take us to a greater height, can make us compete with America, make us compete with Britain, make us compete with a lot of people.
So are you saying our leaders are not aware of this?
They are all myopic. They are all following, it is done like this in America, it is done like this in America. Why can't you say it is done like this in Nigeria? Do they have more cultural distinct than us? I remember when we were in school, there was this topic that they threw to us. And I told them that, look, I am going to believe one thing. The people may disagree with me. And they said, I told them, I said, these people that called white people, they came from heaven. They are not, Africa is where God finished everything. I said, these people you call, they are the sons of, Bible called them sons of anarchs, the anarchs and anarchims. That's why you say, when you put this, as it was in the beginning, as it is ever, so let it be done here on earth. They believe so much because they are the traces. I propounded this myself so as to give myself a very good defense. Now, if you watch them, they believe so much in, if you agree with them in anything, they do it. If you reach an agreement with them, they keep to it. Why? They kept their place intact. What happened to us? They came and blindfolded us with a lot of stories telling us that they came here and discovered the River Niger and all those blah, 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 blah. So many stories that never had anything to do with Nigeria. And yet we are still believing them. Till tomorrow we are still believing them. If we have a good leader, because all the things we'll be having in this country, they are all rulers. If we have a good leader,
are you saying the current leadership?
No, we've never had anybody that should think home. If we have someone that should think home, we will not be importing fuels. Why are we importing? We have them here. Someone should go and look into our refineries and revamp them. What does it take? Somebody signed 1.something billion this thing in order to refine where the refinery is not working. How many times did they tell us that refinery will start working? Why are we, if we want to focus on making it the Nigerian pattern, we'll back to the question you asked. I listened to what the man that came to Nigeria said. I listened to Kemi. We should not forget about reparation and all these ones. They're important to us. So much important to us. Because if I sit down and tell my children, I say, look at what the British government did to us, oh, look at what they did to us. Because as a historian, I know it's so much. My children will never forgive them. But for peace to reign, I have to stomach it and allow it die.
All right, that's a very sad story there, but let's move on. Edo State Governor, talking about Godwin Obaseki, has stated that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is planning to arrest him after his tenure ends on November 14. Speaking at a best national result sharing session on Thursday in Abuja, Obaseki revealed he received information about EFCC's plan to arrest and detain him over alleged fraud. He, however, asserted that he is not afraid of arrest or investigation into his administration, attributing the petitions filed against him to individuals acting out of vendetta. Obaseki mentioned that he would spend his time in EFCC custody conducting research, stressing that he has nothing to hide. Do you think he's already feeling guilty? For him to say he's going to be spending time and research, why does he already believe?
I'll come from the other side of it.
Okay.
I was expecting the EFCC chairman to have resigned far back. You know what he said? If I don't prosecute Yahaya Bello, I will resign. Has he been able to prosecute Yahaya Bello? What is he doing? Let us weigh our actions and our deeds the way once we are in an office. This is what he came out and told Nigerians, that he must do this. If he doesn't do this, he should resign. Then why PDP governor? He has not handed over. Remember, the Delta PDP governor is in their custody. Then what? Okowa. Who was outside though? The letter came and he came back showing I'm not on anybody, I'm not defending anybody, I'm not on it. What I'm saying is what is good for the Uganda. So why can't we just follow things the way it should be? If you extended your invitation to Yahaya Bello, he is treating you the way he is treating you, and you have never, for even a single day, arrested him. Tell Nigerians that, yes, this is Yahaya Bello. We are now prosecuting him. You organized a media program and said, if I don't prosecute him, I will leave this job, I will resign. How many months? We are getting to a year. You are still in the position. You are inviting others. So which means there are
people above the law.
Simple.
Would you put this to the fact that he's a member of the APC?
Everything happening in Nigeria, you see, I just said something about the little topic that will come up and people will look into it and they say, Nigeria is heading to Golgotha.
Was that where Jesus Christ?
Yes, crucified. That's where Nigeria is heading to. You know, one thing people should understand is looking into the affairs of this country, checking if we have that one-party system as people are projecting it to be, or have this.
Right, we just got 2 minutes to try and wrap it up.
Well, thank God we still have the 2 minutes, but the issue remains that if he has not committed any offense, there is no the EFCC is not a masquerade. They are not going to crucify him. They are not going to. If he has a clean conscience, a clean hand, he should go and face. They should go and report him.
All right, just in that 2 minutes, I just want to get to take. Do you think the House of Reps caucus asking for compensation for the released minors is a good thing?
Do you know what that thing, that the arrest of those people? Do you know what it removed from Nigeria? Tell me who would like to come and invest in Nigeria? Nobody. No right-thinking businessman or woman or a company that will come and invest in Nigeria after watching those clips. Nobody. Because what you just told people is that you don't have you don't have judiciary.
All right, very sad commentary, but that's where we're going to draw the curtains on today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Aisha Shaibu, who joined us earlier on the program, and also the man who has added more spice and firepower to the program, talking about the publisher and CEO of Indigo newspaper, one of the fastest growing newspapers right here in the Federal Capital Territory. Joining us, his name, Chief Ogbuefi Chibuzo Onya, joining us in the live studios. Thank you very much for his visit.
Thank you so much.
All right, my name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for being part of the desk on today's edition. Let's do this again next week, where we'll come with very, very interesting talking points for discourse. Good evening.